What started off as a journey to make money and provide for my family has evolved into a purpose with a passion. I quickly realized that the real value is not in the cars that I sell or the money I can make. The real assets are my clients. And the ultimate value that I find is in the relationships that I'm able to create. This is Vet Adventures, and together, we all win.
My point of view is people are the most important thing.
You're a great sport, man. You're awesome.
Your word is more important than any written piece of paper.
You always want to be a person that can dream and imagine and believe that you can be.
Do what you love to do.
It's a calling, it's not a job. You know how to put the work down.
What's up, guys? Today we are in Park City, Utah at the warehouse checking out some amazing cars. I'm gonna sit down and interview an even more amazing human being, and that's Dr. Vern Cooley, a great friend of mine and a dear client. Dr. Cooley specializes in sports medicine and is known as one of the top orthopedic surgeons in the country.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
How are you?
Dr. Vern Cooley. Appreciate you welcoming us to Utah.
Good to have you here, Jesse.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Been great working with you, and super nice of you to come out.
Yeah.
And, you know, everybody I talk to, Jesse goes above and beyond to meet with people and go where people need to go to make the relationship. So it's been super nice getting to know you, and great to have you out here.
Likewise,
so,
I appreciate it,
yeah.
and thank you for agreeing to do this interview.
No, honored.
Yeah,
absolutely honored.
I really, I want to give people the opportunity to learn about my clients and what it takes to be successful, and I look forward to giving you the opportunity to, tell your story on how you got to where it is that you are today. Not only as a awesome car collector, but as one of the world's most renowned orthopedic surgeons. So
well, you're exaggerating a little bit on that.
Well, we'll get into
that's okay.
it. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
okay. Happy to.
Yeah.
I'll take whatever I can get.
Yeah, likewise.
I'm not sure
likewise.
it's deserved. But,
no, it's definitely deserved. So,
no, I'm actually kind of surprised you wanted to talk to me, but I'm honored.
Hey, I appreciate it. Well, let's get into it.
Sure.
We'll start at your early ages. But one of the things that I really, really recognized with you when we first met back in Florida was that you carried yourself with like this great energy, so personable, like you almost like an overwhelming appreciation for life. And as I was preparing for this interview, I started to read about you. And you were a star football player, you were on the track team in high school, but then when you turned 18 years old, you were faced with some serious life-threatening adversity. You got cancer. Tell us about how you were able to overcome that adversity in your battle with cancer and how that shaped your perspective for life.
Sure. No, it's once again, Jesse's doing his homework on everybody, so that's good.
Got to come prepared. We'll get into the preparation too.
Yeah, right. So life threw me a few curveballs early on. I was super healthy, doing great. Life was good. Trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life, and call it, I don't know what, karma, luck, whatever you want to call it. It's amazing how things kind of seem to work out if you're looking for it and you're paying attention. And I don't know why, I can't explain it, but I've been very fortunate in my life that way. So I'm in high school and I'm all of a sudden noticing a lump, had testicular cancer, and I'm like, this is weird. And then I go to the doctor and they say, oh, we got to check this out. Next thing I know, it's, you're getting a diagnosis of cancer, and then the next thing you know, it's metastatic and you may not live. And the interesting thing is about 4 or 5 years before they came up with this chemotherapy regimen that had only been out a short time. They still use the same one today, and this is, I'm talking 40 years ago. Over 40, I don't even want to think about it, but over 40 years ago, and it still is very effective. And I was fortunate enough to have good doctors and a good medical team, and I went through a year of not fun stuff. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people out there have gone through cancer treatment, and it changes the way you look at life and the way you look at the world and the way you appreciate things. And even though, it's almost become, people say this all the time, but tough things do make you appreciate things more. Yeah, you never would go through it, but it changed me, and that was the first of several changes in my life. But my dad who was really my hero. He was I love my dad, and he said to me, "Hey, this guy moved in next door, and he's a knee surgeon, and he's got this really cool, techniques that are done arthroscopically." It was that long ago that it was pretty early. I mean, everybody uses arthroscopes now, and he's kind of a different guy. I mean, he's very brilliant, but he's a little bit on the spectrum, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And so I was like, ooh, I don't know if I can talk to him. But I went over, and he was so cool to me. And that started my relationship with my partner, who's retired now, Tom Rosenberg. And he became close family friend, almost like a big brother to me. And I'm rambling here.
No, you're good.
But Utah early on was a place where arthroscopic surgeries were developed by one of my partners now, father. And so it was a Utah tradition to that's one of the world centers for arthroscopic surgery. And that Bob Metcalf, who's a pioneer in arthroscopic surgery, was Tom Rosenberg's senior partner. Okay. Now Mike Metcalf is my partner, his son, and it's been kind of cool to see that evolution. Well, anyway, I went hang out with Tom. I originally thought I might be an attorney, and I know that nothing against attorneys, but it's not my shtick.
Right.
But I immediately loved what was going on, and he took me to his office. He showed me and I said, I want to do medicine, and I want to do knee surgery, and I want to do arthroscopic surgery, and I went to medical school, I went to residency, I did my fellowship, all to do what I do now.
What was it? Because I read that he took you in to show you how it works and everything. You're like 16, 17 years old at the time. Most kids would probably be like, whoa, what was it that just lured you into that profession?
I think, I don't know. It just clicked.
Just spoke to you.
I mean, you're a car guy. What started your car obsession? It just happened.
Going fast. I think I was a race car driver in my previous life. My wife will not ride in the car with me if she doesn't have to. But
it's kind of, I don't know. These things aren't explainable, and when you just know it, you know it.
Yeah.
And now the trouble with that is I knew I had passion for it, but I didn't know if I was good at it. And I kind of, later in my life, I've gotten kind of trying to understand why people think the way they think, and why people are good at what they do, and why people aren't good at what they do. And all the stuff the studies I look at and the things I read, and if you want to be successful, you need to be good at it. And if you have a passion for it, then you've got the sweet spot. Then you can go to work and love it, and you can also be successful. There are people that want to do something, but they're not good at it.
Right.
And that's a kind of a tragedy.
Yeah, it's an internal conflict.
Yeah,
almost,
right.
If you have the passion, you're willing to, eat the dog crap and overcome the adversity because you just want it so bad. You're committed to it. You're in love with it.
Well, I know that's, in talking to you, that's kind of, you've gone through your struggles in business and things with different people, and has made you look at things better.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of interesting how that all works, but I don't know why I loved it, but I loved it.
What would you say, obviously you're one of the best in the nation at what you do. What would you accredit, you being one of the best, and what separates being great versus being, say, average?
I think there's a few things. I think it's just natural talent is kind of one thing that you cannot, you can't fake, or you can't, and that's a luck or a gift, or however you want to look at it. I can't explain it. No one can explain that.
Sure.
The way our neurons are in our brain, you know, higher power gave it, whatever it is, we got that.
Yeah.
I would say the thing you can control, and clearly this is something that I think you have that's great, is work hard. You know how to put the work down. I mean, you go, the fact that you're out here talking to me, traveling completely across the country, says how hard you work and how motivated you are to get stuff done. And that counts a lot, because I think a lot of people just don't want to work hard.
Sure.
And that's okay if you choose that, but
don't expect
something.
Right.
I mean, don't expect to get something for nothing.
Right.
I mean, and if you look at the people that really like nail it, they're the ones. I mean, Steve Jobs had talent, or Bill Gates, but they worked their cans off early on. So and they were gifted.
Right.
And that's how people get to that level.
For sure.
You know.
What advice could you give to somebody who's just starting off in their career versus the advice that you would give somebody of the same age that's trying to like figure out what they want to do with their life?
Yeah, good question. Tough question.
You can apply it to like somebody who's just starting off in the medical field.
Yeah, I mean, and I have a lot of people I talk to that are doing that, and I say, first of all, don't do medicine unless you love it, absolutely love it, because medicine's kind of changed. I mean, I've been very fortunate in that I've been able to do well financially, and some of that's through medicine, but some of that's through other things. But if you don't love it, you don't get paid enough to work that hard in medicine.
Right.
You just don't anymore. And you can make it work, but you shouldn't go into it, because it's a calling. It's not a job.
Yeah.
It's a calling. So I say you got to love it, and then the next step is you have to, which is really hard in medicine. You have to go through all of this schooling to really understand, are you good at it? And that's the tough piece. So someone in medicine, I say, you better love it. You better at least be able to prove you have a certain aptitude, and then the rest is just kind of who you are. It's hard, though. I mean, but you better be able to work hard. I mean, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
You're not going into medicine without working your guts off and spending hours and hours and hours.
Everybody I talk to doing these interviews, they all revert to work, the four-letter W word, W-O-R-K. You gotta be willing to work. Where did you go to school at and get your medical degree?
So I went to undergrad at the University of Utah, stayed around home. Part of that was I was going through cancer treatment, and it just didn't make sense to really do anything else. Then I went to Harvard to medical school, which was great. I loved Boston. It was an amazing experience. I think that actually was one of the other things that helped shape me. Is I go from Utah, and it's gotten a lot bigger, Salt Lake, but it was a pretty small town back when I was young. And I applied to all sorts of schools. I didn't think I'd get into some of the schools I got into. I frankly still don't get it, but I got in there. I went there and interviewed and absolutely loved it. And I was like, oh man, when I don't get in, I'm going to be super disappointed. But I got in, and it was I was scared. You know, I hadn't lived away from home, and I was a little nervous. And I went there, and I found out, hey, you know, a punk kid. You know, we joke around with kind of a rube. That was the term we used. Rube from Utah. My roommate was from Utah too, and he said the rubes from Utah came in and did okay.
Hey.
And I did well there. And then I decided I wanted to get a really good residency, and there were a few of them around the country. And the one in Seattle at the University of Washington is still a great orthopedic residency.
Nice.
And so I went out there and lived in Seattle for 5 years, and it was awesome. And it's just been a good ride. Been hard work, but every step along the way, growing up where I did. I mean, I'm back here now. I love Utah. My family's from here. My wife's family's from here. Boston, fantastic exposure. Seattle, unbelievable. And here we are. Life's been kind to me.
Amen. What was your mindset going into your first ever surgery? Because I read, you don't know if you're good until you actually do a surgery.
Yeah.
So like, what was your mindset going in? Did you feel prepared? Did you feel
I was
ready?
scared. I was nervous, and it was interesting. I mean, and at first you start as a medical student and you're kind of watching this whole thing play around you. I remember one of my early ones. I was doing my surgery rotation at Mass General Hospital in Boston, and this guy came in that had been in a motor vehicle accident, and he'd severed his aorta from its attachment, and they took him to and cracked his chest, and I was a medical student in there going, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy." And that just kind of blows your mind. You think, how can I do this?
Right.
How can I do something like this? Now, it's weird, but you just kind of fall into it, and gradually you watch it. You're part of it. You assist it. You close the wounds. You hold different retractors. You may dissect parts of the surgery, and you slowly get acclimated to it, and then eventually. The whole idea is you spend all of these years getting more and more responsible. And by the time you're in your chief residency year, you're pretty comfortable doing surgeries on your own. But when you go into practice and it's all on you, it's a crazy deal.
Yeah.
And now, I don't mean to use the word routine, because it's not routine when you're dealing with a human being.
Right.
And potentially I can make somebody worse or not help them, but that's part of the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Every surgery is a little bit of a I mean, I can do them. I've done so many of them. It's not hard, but you still take them seriously.
Yeah. And you're confident in your work.
Yeah.
You put in the work. You've
done something. The 10,000 rule. I've been on like 40,000. So it's like
why you are
it's
one
like
of the best.
it's just like you've done it so many times. You're comfortable.
Yeah.
But every once in a while you get, oh wow, that's interesting.
Let's talk
different.
Let's talk about how one of your patients was different. You've worked with several professional athletes over your career. You had the opportunity, and you did work on Tiger Woods' knee. What was that experience like, and how did you get that opportunity to work with Tiger?
Well, we take confidentially very high. That's really important to us. But Tiger, I won't say anything that Tiger has not put out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to be clear, because I will never talk about anybody unless they put it out
For
first.
sure, absolutely.
But Tiger was. He had a physical therapist in Las Vegas who was a guy that grew up in Utah, and really famous physical therapist. He's passed on now, but he trained like Mike Tyson and just really well known. Keith Clevin was his name. And Tiger's having some knee problems, and he said, I know some guys he went to see some guys around the country, and he said, I know these guys in Utah are pretty good at what they do, and I can vouch for who they are as people. And so we brought him in, and we saw him, and we clicked, and he trusted us, and that started a long-term relationship. And Tiger's recent injuries, they've been foot and ankle, not knee issues. So I haven't been as involved in his medical care as of late. But he's still a friend, and I really he's had a lot of good and bad press, but he's a really good human being, and he doesn't deserve he deserves the credit for his hard work, but he gets a lot of criticism that I think is unwarranted. And he's a good person.
Yeah, he's changed the game of golf.
Absolutely.
Forever.
And when you're the best, you're a target.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
nobody's perfect. You have the limelight on you.
He was. I mean, people can say, he's got everything, but it was. Think about it. Being raised like where you had to be perfect constantly. That would be tough.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure on you.
But he's a great guy. He's fun to hang out with. One of my best experiences in my life was I'm really good friends with Mark O'Mara, who's a professional golfer. He's in the senior tour now. He lives here in Park City part-time. And I became friends with him through Tiger. And I was able to go out to the Masters a couple of times and stay with him. And part of it was working with Tiger on some stuff that was going early on. But one year, Mark said, "Hey, you and your wife come out and stay with us." My wife, her name's Rebecca. And she became good friends with Mark's wife, and so we went out to stay with him. And he calls me up and said, "Hey, Vern, why don't you come down a day early? I know you're coming out on Sunday. Come out on Saturday." I'm like, "Okay, Mark." And he says, "Bring your golf clubs." I was like, "Okay." And I'm starting to think something's up here. And this was in 2012, and so I kind of like, and I go, "Come on, Mark, you can't just throw that out."
Yeah,
you can't just throw that out. What's
Give
going
me a
on?
big
He goes,
tease
"Let's
here."
just say, big tease.
Yeah.
Let's just say maybe you're going to be playing golf at a place you'd really like to play." And I'm like, "Okay."
awesome.
So one thing led to another, and we end up going to Augusta. This is the Sunday before
Wow.
the Masters, and I love golf. That's one of my other things I enjoy doing. And we go in the champions locker room, which I'd been in a few years earlier and seen it. And there's Tiger sitting there eating his sandwich and goes, "Hey, is it okay if I play with you guys?" So we played Augusta on Sunday, the day before. And my wife, who people don't get to do this, got to walk Augusta behind us.
That's awesome.
And there's all the other professionals are playing their practice round. And that was just once in a lifetime experience. It's the ultimate golfer's bragging rights. I get on that.
Absolutely.
So anyway,
That's awesome.
I don't know. I'm rambling
No,
here,
no,
but
no.
happy.
It's a great story. You know,
happy
it,
to-
it shows the value of building quality relationships. You know,
Relationships.
and for me, you know, when I got into this business, it's very easy to kind of get like starstruck, even though these people aren't stars. But like, you know, you're kind of like, oh wow, I have the opportunity to know this person or build a relationship with that person. And you kind of want to befriend them or become friends with them right away. But in the beginning, it takes time, and you have to build a business relationship or a personal relationship through your business and what it is that you do. And then it'll grow into a friendship, you know. So a lot of people kind of at a young age might take it backwards, but you know, you have to let time do its magic. And
It's interesting because people, you know, like Tiger or other they kind of can tell if you're sincere. They have this sixth sense.
absolutely,
And if they can sense that you really care about them and you're not there because of because they're famous,
Right.
and you really want a relationship that's going to be positive and good, it'll happen.
yeah,
But if you go there and you act weird and it's just not.
yeah,
I've just found, be yourself, which you're great at that. Be yourself.
Yeah.
You're a great person.
Yeah.
They don't want you to be somebody you're not. They want to be. They want to hang out with normal people, not like people fawning all
Yeah,
over. I mean, maybe there are a few of them that are like that, but very
they're normal
few.
people at the end of the day, and that's
Yeah,
the way they want to be
exactly.
treated. you know.
100%.
Most of their life, they're being treated like the superstar.
They
or the
want to
person
have
that
they want to
are.
have legitimate friends,
Right,
and
right.
I don't. And if someone doesn't want to hang out with me, I don't care how famous they are. I don't want to hang out with
Yeah,
them.
no,
and
definitely not.
I mean, I just want to be myself, and if
Right.
it works, it works. If
Right.
it doesn't, it doesn't.
I love it.
You know.
I love it. What are some of your personal core values that you live by?
I think we've already talked about one, which is hard work. Another is personal integrity. Always be honest, even if it's painful, and you'll never go wrong.
Right.
But if you start misrepresenting things or telling half truths and that's been a tough thing in life. I'm kind of known in my family, and my wife's family especially, and maybe I ought to shut my mouth, but I sometimes say things that need to be said, and it gets me in trouble. But I think as time goes on, if you're doing it for the right reasons, and so I'm honest, I'm forthright, I work hard, and I think actually being generous and giving others the benefit of the doubt is huge. If you take the attitude win lose, not good.
Right. You have to have understanding.
Not good. You need to be. If I'm in a situation with somebody, I'm gonna give them a little more than I mean, it's hard because we're all biased.
Right.
And we all have our perspective, and so it's really hard for us to step outside ourselves. That's another big thing for me is try and understand what my blind spots are. We all have blind spots,
I like that.
and that's been like my my New Year's resolution for the past 3 years is, and I say this to you, I say this to anybody.
Right.
Please tell me what I don't know. I want to hear it. I absolutely want to hear it.
That's gold.
And
Yeah.
if you can do that, you will be
Valuable.
so successful. I read an article about a guy who took like his closest friends and family members, like 15 of them, and put them in a room and made them swear that they would tell him difficult things that they didn't want to tell him because they would be hard.
Right.
And he got him to do it, and he said it was the hardest thing he ever did, but he said, I was different. I was a different person after that.
Yeah.
And they're actually interesting, just a little car aside, I was on a drive a week ago with a guy that I just barely met. He lives in Florida part of the time and lives here part of the time and has great cars. And he's retired from his first job, which was, in the stock market and investments. But now what he does now is he goes around and interviews people around others and puts together a package and gives them ideas on what they don't understand about themselves. Kind of a blind spot,
That's unique.
Counselor,
Yeah,
I guess
yeah,
is and I'm gonna have the guy do it for me. For
That's
sure.
interesting. I'll have to
It's
check him
really
out. Yeah,
fast.
that's-
I'll give you his
yeah,
information.
That's incredible.
But it's really interesting. I'm absolutely, and I'm going on forever.
No,
about
no,
this,
it's just.
but I'm absolutely fascinated
Yeah.
about that.
That's
because if you can really do that and take it to heart, the problem is that people tell you tough things, you can destroy you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take it for what it's worth and not let it destroy you. You
Right.
have to let it make you better.
Yeah.
And I don't know, be honest, I'm kind of afraid a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it's tough. I'm sure it'll hurt, but at the end of the day, you can have that serious conversation with yourself in the mirror and say,
100%.
is what that person is saying actually true? And if it is, then you have the opportunity to become better.
100%.
You have the opportunity to become better.
100%.
And most people, I don't want to say most people, but there's a lot of people that will deny it or hate that person for telling them the hard truth. But at the end of the day, we're all striving to be better. We do want to know what it is that we don't know. Tell
100%.
us. Where are our blind spots? I love that. I love that. That's-
And sometimes maybe it's something you like about yourself and you don't want to change it, and maybe it is a quirk. So what? You choose to keep it, or
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
But that's okay. You've
Right.
chosen that.
Right.
It's not something you don't know about that's hurting you.
Yeah.
You say, well, okay, what's the risk of me keeping this quality?
Yeah.
And what's the reward of not keeping it?
Totally agree. So it might make you who you are and unique and what people actually like
Yeah.
about you. So
I mean, we have a common friend. You interviewed
Right.
him yesterday,
Yeah,
ZA.
yeah,
He's a
absolutely.
very unique individual.
Very unique.
Acquired taste.
Very
and we love ZA. He's just
He's a
close
one of one.
friend. He's one of one. And that's what we love about him.
Right.
And if he were to take away some of those unique, there are some people that I'm sure go, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like a ZA thing. Whoa.
Yeah. And ZA doesn't care though.
He doesn't care,
He
but that's what
Right.
makes him who he is, and that's why we
I
love
agree.
him.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to become a like vanilla.
Yeah.
No, but I don't think that's what we're talking about
No,
here.
no.
I don't think that. I think we want our personality.
Absolutely.
We want our energy. We want who we are. We want our passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe that bugs people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, there are people that probably will look at this interview and be totally bugged
Mm-hmm.
that we're sitting in this club.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. I don't blame them of all these cars that are just worth a fortune when there are people out in the world who can't even eat. And that's I struggle with that periodically
for
too.
sure.
I mean, that's another quality is and that's a blind spot thing. This is another thing I really think is important. Try and put yourself in other people's position.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because there are amazing people out there that were born in the wrong place at the wrong time, had a tough family, tough situation, and no fault of their own. It's really rough.
Yeah.
And for us to be fortunate enough to sit, what did we do to deserve
Right,
this?
right.
I mean, we didn't deserve this, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I'm with you, man. Like, it hurts me to see people living on the streets. It hurts me to see
100%.
children starving. Like it's unfortunate, but the more successful that we can become, the more we're able to help other people. And if we don't strive for success, if we were to pump the brakes and say, you know what, I don't want to be rich, I don't want to be wealthy. Well, we wouldn't be able to enjoy life to the fullest, and then we wouldn't be able to donate to charities, to help people.
And I think you've got 3 beautiful kids. You couldn't help your kids get educated. I mean,
Absolutely.
it seems selfish to want to be
Yeah.
successful, but if you handle it right, it's not selfish.
No.
And there are a lot of people out there that, and you can see it in Bill Gates. I mean, he's giving back billions to the world. I remember early on when I was lived in Seattle, he was really early on in the Microsoft years. It's a long time ago. And the community was like, Bill doesn't give back to anything. He's cheap. He's just hoarding all his money, blah, blah, blah. He had a plan, and that was to make an immense amount of wealth so he could give back in a significant way.
Yeah.
And so there are reasons for these things.
For sure.
And I don't know the right formula. I don't know that
I don't think
anybody
anybody does.
does.
Yeah.
But I think all of us have to really say keeping things and hoarding things is absolutely the wrong thing.
For sure.
For
I'm
sure.
with you. I give thanks every day to God for everything that I have and the life that I'm able to live. And this is one of the ways that I want to pay it forward by interviewing my clients and sharing their value and their wisdom with the world. What would you say your faith has been like as you grow up, and what you credit anything to?
Great question. Interesting question. I grew up since I was in Salt Lake, and this is another thing. Usually, whatever church you're in or whatever faith you have is where you're born. And it's interesting. And I think for anybody to claim that they have the true or the right faith or the right God or whatever you want to say is flawed. And I grew up in a church, I call it the Mormon Church, but they like to be known as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And it was a wonderful early life. I mean, the community is amazing. The people band together. The culture they're so loyal, and people are nice and good. But it was a pretty fundamental sort of, and I'm still a member of the faith, but you brought up, this is the true religion. This is where my evolution has been a 180 from that. And now I view it, do I have respect for people of faith? And the people may be Christian, they may be Muslim, they may be Buddhist, they may be Hindu, everyone, I admire the journey they're on. I think we all need to have some sort of higher person or whatever you want to call it that we answer to and thank for who we are. I'm still Christian, I'm still LDS, but I don't claim to think that my religion is the right one.
I think your walk with God is your own personal walk.
100%.
And however He speaks and talks to you is.
You said it better than I did. It's everyone's, and I think even within your own faith, everyone's walk is different. We say, "Oh, I've got the same walk as my." Even your wife's walk is different than yours. Your kids' walk will be different than yours, and you need to be okay with it, because something that speaks to you may not speak to them. And the God that I believe in respects everyone's walk and everyone's journey, and there's no judgment, and there's no minimization, and there's complete love and understanding of whatever people are doing. Now, I don't know how people will answer or what will happen to those who are really, there are a few bad people.
For sure.
But I really believe that there's however many, almost 8 billion people in the world now, whatever the number is, pretty much want the same things that you and I want, Jesse. We want to be able to feed our family. We want to be able to sleep well, and to quote my father-in-law, sleep when the wind blows and not be worried. And we want to have a home where we raise kids in a great environment. We want to educate them. We want them to become better than we are. That's a universal trait. And the people in China or Russia or India or wherever, they all want the same thing. Now, there are some psychopaths out there. I mean, there's a famous one from Utah, Ted Bundy, who, they just kill people. Now, that's a different world. That's a different animal. For sure. But I don't pretend I don't judge anybody. If someone's a bad actor, I just don't deal with them. And if they're hurting other people, I don't want them around, and I want them put where they can't hurt people, and I'm super passionate about that. But I don't know. I don't know if I answered your question.
You did. I think what it comes down to is we all want pretty much the same thing. We want to pursue our life's purpose, happiness, be able to feed our family, put a roof over our head, live in a peaceful, safe environment, not be worried about some criminal or anything like that.
Yeah.
And respect everybody's beliefs.
100%.
It's all love. It's all love.
That's it. I mean, right? If I were to boil down my current religion and it sounds stupid, but it's just love. It's just love and concern for others. And if people want to violate that or not take it or choose another path, that's sorry for them.
Yeah.
But there's and the thing, growing up the thing I've learned, Salt Lake was a pretty insular place. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere, started by my ancestors, which were Mormon pioneers. And, there's not a lot of, now it's a lot different. There's a lot of influx and outflow, but back when I was growing up, it was a pretty small world. Mm-hmm. And what really took me out of that was going back to Boston and seeing other people and falling in love with a different culture and different people and friends that to this day I call some of my best friends who grew up in totally different environments and have totally different religions. And some of them maybe aren't even religious, they're atheists, but it doesn't matter, whatever their journey is.
Yeah, I love that. Seeing how everybody else lives, it's eye-opening. It
Right?
expands your consciousness, your mind, and you're like, oh, I like that. And there's no reason why you can't add that to your life or apply it.
And I think it's super great that, you and your team came out to see Park City.
Yeah.
This is a very unique place. I'm not sure I want to advertise it because it's gotten so
growing.
busy and
Yeah.
grown because it's a beautiful place.
For sure.
But it's there's so many things to do. I think, and I'm just sidetracking here, but one of my, fears and I think regrets is I want to live life to its fullest, and I'm afraid I still got some left, but you're in the early stage of your life. I'm getting more towards the end. I mean, I'm 61, so I'm kind of like, how many more years? It's getting a little harder to get in and out of that 918. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't work as well. I want to experience as much as I possibly can. For sure. And it's important to, and this is just a statement that everybody makes, but live your life like it's going to end tomorrow.
Love that.
It just, because it might.
Yeah, all you have is
this
today.
might be the last thing that I do.
Yeah,
I hope not.
No, definitely not.
But you have to go with that.
I love that. Yeah. I one of my main things is I want to travel the world because there's just so much to see. I want to see all the different cultures. I'm fascinated at the way other people live. I don't believe that the way I live in the American culture is the right way or the one way because everybody's unique and different in their own way. And I want to experience that and see it. I
totally agree. 100% agree.
To close us out, I'd love to give you the final words and tell our viewers, whatever words of encouragement or inspiration to go after your dreams and create your vision.
I think the most rewarding things, in my life have been personal relationships that I've gained with people. I include you in that group. The cars and the travel and everything just add immense things, but ultimately, your personal relationship with people is what brings you worth and happiness. And there's a really famous study that's still ongoing at Harvard, and they've looked at it since, I will get my days wrong, but like 1930 it started. And they've been interviewing people in Boston, and the most rewarding thing at the end of their life is and it's data shows it. I'm kind of a data guy, I love data.
Yeah.
And data's wrong sometimes. And this is another important thing. You have to always be willing to admit you're wrong, because we're wrong a lot. Mm-hmm. And you just need to. And so if something presents a different narrative and someone can show, hey, I've got and I'm getting on a soapbox here, but one of the things that I really am fearful in today's society is people don't look at data. They get a narrative from one source or another source, and they go down that rabbit hole, and it scares the hell out of me. Because if people really were willing to be open-minded and look at information, our world would be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, back to my point, relationships are everything. And I know, I cherish my relationship with my wife. I cherish it with my children, my 5 children. I cherish it with my friends. I cherish it with my business partners, with people I meet in sports or cars or travel. And that ultimately is what, makes me,
I love it.
really rewards me and significant. I mean, these cars can go away tomorrow. And as long as I got my family and good friends, I don't care. I would be fine if the world blew up and I had those things.
Yeah, I love that. Personal relationships, connections, creates that internal.
It's who we are as human beings.
Yeah.
It's what's unique about us. It's what we are, social creatures. And that's what's also disturbing about today is everybody gets locked in their own little world where they're just looking at their iPhone or they're doing video games, and you're missing out on significant stuff. And that's why I like going, traveling out to see a car museum with you. Mark's museum, I know you interviewed him, was absolutely amazing. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And going with ZA, taking my son and staying in his condo in Florida was, and ZA's Polish, and he comes from a very different culture. And for my son to see that and meet his wife Margaret, and these are priceless things. For him to show us the best Polish ham to buy, I mean, and the bread and the Polish cheese and the sandwich you made for us that was like crack cocaine. It was so good. I mean, these are the things that really matter.
Experiences and memories.
Really, and they're not good if they're not shared with others. I actually, early on, and I'll shut up when you guys want me
You're
to,
totally
but
fine.
early on, in medicine, and I couldn't really afford to get really any cars. The first car I ever bought was a 996 Turbo in 2000, and I bought it with one of my friends, who's another physician, and we decided to start a car club early on, because we couldn't afford one car, so we'd buy them together. And then we started to sell them, and we finally got enough money where we could do our own thing. We still buy cars together when we both love something and want to share it. But sharing those, actually owning those with other people and sharing them is better than owning them on your own. But it's a very unique relationship because you have to have someone who's super anal, you completely trust with a very valuable asset, and they just take great care of the cars and they appreciate the cars. And I have 2 other friends that are part of that relationship. And we actually have a company that we buy the cars in and own them together. It's a really cool thing.
It's a good friendship, good partnership, good relationship, great cars.
So anyway, that's probably enough.
No, man, I appreciate it, Vern. Thank you so much for the time. And you were great on camera. You did good. A lot of golden nuggets in there. And this is Dr. Vern Cooley. So we appreciate it, Vern.
I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Here you go.
Thanks so much, Jesse.
Thanks, Vern.